Hello, good people, and welcome. Today, I am going to be talking about why Black women. Ooh, wait, let me change this. So, I was going to do a video on why Black women feel rejected, and what I decided to do instead was to actually articulate to Black women 5 ways that you can deal with rejection, because I'd rather be about a solution that empowers my sisters than to continue to give power to a group of people in this world that does not celebrate us. And regardless of what that group looks like or who that group is, the reality is it's happening. And I don't have to sit here and argue about what I know is true, because I've been a Black woman my entire life. And so for that reason, instead of going with the reason why most Black women feel rejected, and I could probably go on and on about that. And if we ever do a live feed and you have questions and answers, we can go for it. You throw it out at me and I'll make sure. But instead, what I'm going to do in effort to help empower and to continue to support my sisters, I am going to give you 5 ways to literally handle rejection as if in a way that can help to make you mentally stronger. And the first one is acknowledge your emotions. When people reject you, when people put you in a position where they are literally belittling you or making you feel bad because of who you are or what you do, you have to make sure that you acknowledge what you are experiencing as true. Do not let anyone else gaslight you, make you feel bad for having an emotion that is as a result of their rejection towards you as a Black woman. And so acknowledge your emotion. And I think in our previous video, we talked about getting our voice and hearing our voice. One of the actual factors in terms of really having your own voice is acknowledging what you're feeling and not allowing anyone else to minimize or devalue what you feel related to your emotions or your feelings. So acknowledge your feelings. That's number 1. Number 2 is view rejection as that you must be doing something right? So you pushing the limits, you're making people feel uncomfortable with being yourself and being who you are. So acknowledge that. Even after you acknowledge your emotions, you know that that is a real emotion that you're feeling related to rejection. You also, to empower yourself, know that that means you're also pushing the limit, and it's that other person's issue, not yours. So what I mean by that is that if you have an issue or a hang up with me being unapologetic and proud and accepting of who I am, that's not my issue to have to walk down. That's not my journey to have. That's yours. My journey is to feel confident and be okay with who I am, because I've acknowledged what I felt, and now I'm actually acknowledging that because of what I felt, it's probably as a result of how you feel about me pushing the limits or pushing you out of a comfort zone that says that as a Black woman, this is what I expect from you, and you should stay in the line of that role. You have a right to push outside of the boundaries. All right, number 3, show yourself compassion. When all else fails and no one else is willing to do it, you have to be the one that says, if I am feeling something and it's real for me and it's rejection for me, and I know that I'm pushing the limits and that person is uncomfortable with my limits, that is not my issue. So I don't have to beat myself up or try to figure out ways to make that other person feel comfortable with me being unapologetically who I am, right? So that's number 3. You are not responsible for someone else's comfort and how they see you. So always remember that if you are outside of the limits and you're pushing the limits, part of that issue related to rejection doesn't belong to you. And because it doesn't belong to you, I don't want you to beat yourself up with trying to find ways to make people comfortable with you. Be you, be great, be beautiful, and be proud. Number 4, this one's a little harder, because just even, as I'm saying it, I'm thinking about experiences of rejection related to what I look like and how I navigate the world with my level of pride and self. And so sometimes that means that rejection is going, I'm prepared for quote unquote rejection a lot of times. I recall stories of even being told to change my look, to change my hair, to change certain things if I plan on going up in management roles in my field. And I remember thinking to myself, first off, I'm supposedly in what is considered a more liberal field because I'm a social worker and I'm in social services or have been in human services most of my career. But the truth was that even there, me being unapologetically Black and having been locked for now almost 20 years has always been some level of preparing myself for rejection. So number 4 is about not letting the rejection define you. What I learned was that as I was met with rejection, that I refused and still do refuse to not honor who I truly am as a beautiful Black woman in a world that doesn't always see me that way, but doesn't mean that I have to see myself as others see me. So acknowledge that you might feel rejection, but you do not have to let it define you. And part of that is always challenging the emotion that you might get from the rejection that causes you to feel guilt and shame about yourself, or causes you to want to change yourself in order to fit in or to look like what the norm is in different groups. You are you for a reason, and why not celebrate that? And I think in celebrating our individual uniqueness, just like any other culture celebrates who they are, we should do the same and be just okay with that. And then last, but definitely not least, learn from the rejection. So like I said, in my professional element, I've learned that in the rejection that I may have received, those weren't the places for me, but I also learned how to challenge people's thoughts and views immediately at the time that they may try to put rejection in my corner and try to put limits on my identity and who I am. And so part of that came from understanding that even in preparation for rejection, I have a right to have a voice that says, you need to know that you've rejected me, not because of anything more than your views on my Blackness or how I navigate Blackness in this world. And so I say that because those areas most of us as Black women struggle with in professional school settings, our relationships. I can go on and on with how as a community, as Black women, we are rejected if we don't fit a certain mold of Black woman, and even temperament, because so many stereotypes about us make us have to be this perfect role or perfect person to be in relationships. And in reality, that shouldn't be the case. And no other group of women are expected at the rate we are to silence ourselves and our voices. So I want to go back over those real quick just to help you be empowered with the reality that we can handle rejection, and rejection is something that sadly as Black women we experience in a multitude of ways. But I am, instead of telling you why we feel rejected, I want to give you guys some opportunities to start dealing with your rejection yourself, which is to acknowledge your emotions. That's number 1. Understand that number 2 is to understand that you don't fit the norm, and because you don't fit the norm, you're pushing limits that that other person is uncomfortable with. So their issues surrounding our Blackness and our Black womanhood is not yours. Number 3, be compassionate to yourself. Love on you even after you feel those emotions. Do not beat yourself up or try to change yourself to fit the mold if it's not something that you want for yourself. Refuse to let rejection define you. Understand that part of our journey in this world, sadly, includes people trying to make us feel bad about who we are, and also trying to give you their opinions about how you should live and what you should do. It's okay to refuse to be defined by any other person's definition of Blackness or womanhood. And then last but definitely not least, I pray that you learn from the rejection. I pray that it builds you up, it makes you stronger, and allows you to see rejection as an opportunity to educate and grow in yourself as a woman. And side note, so that's my 5, right? Bonus, all else fails. If no one else can take care of you or honor you, know that you surround yourself with other strong women who can nurture who you are, regardless of their background, who you are and what you are in this world, because you deserve to be cared for, loved, and not feel constant rejection in every world that you have to navigate. All right, you guys, be well.